What we are, our true nature, is existence, isness. This is reality. The separation or turning away from isness, from truth, is not isness, notness, unreality, illusion. Since our truth and where we are is existence, notness does not coincide with existence, with reality. Hence the signal of suffering. Hence the signal of not good feeling. You can say that notness, translated here in the realm of existence, the realm of isness, is a distorted, contorted feeling. Again, as a signal, as a sign of misalignment with isness. If we are in notness, right? If our true nature is non-existence, then notness will feel good to us. But since our nature is reality, isness, existence, therefore what feels good is isness. Is, yes, whole, present, presence, exist, right? That's why separation doesn't feel good, because separation is the contrast of whole. And again, wholeness is reality, it's true nature. Is wholly present, wholly existing, whole expression. It's not like 50% existing and 50% non-existence. Or like 70% is and 30% not is. Right? The reality of things is in full expression. It's in yes, yesness, fullness, wholeness, wholly is, wholly that, completely that. Even if, like, let's say, we're tuning into the idea of not worthy, unworthiness, right? Not whole or not complete. Well, then that experience or that expression is fully, wholly, 100% that. It's 100% that experience. That's the fundamental base or fundamental ground of everything. Is, yes, whole, full, complete. And so, since again we're in a world of duality, that truth will then cast a shadow, which is untruth, which is illusion, which is notness, which is, removedness, distance, fragmentedness. And this shadow position, this notness position, is taken up by the ego mind. That is the role that it took. That is its role. That is the mechanics of it. It's not personal. It's not a mistake. It's not an error. It's not something that shouldn't be here. You know, it's actually correct. It's actually how it is. And since the ego mind is the holder or container of notness, therefore it's the body, the whole self, the whole avatar that holds or contains isness, yesness, wholeness. Now, I've always talked about this distinction, but remember that the base, the fundamental ground of reality of everything is yesness, wholeness. Like, notice that a while ago I said that the ego mind is that which holds and contains notness. Holds, contains, isness. So the isness, let's say, of ego mind is notness. It's the isness of notness. Because we're here in existence. Notness cannot be the base. Because notness per se does not exist. Just take a look at the word. notness, right? That's why you can notice that when you are, let's say, in notness, let's say not worthy, but if you sink into its base of isness, then it's as if it gets resolved. You are back in reality. You know, you're back in true nature, ground of reality, which is again yesness, existence, wholeness. What the mind offers is that gap, is that distance, is this, is this sort of removedness or separation, which is the one that causes suffering. It's the illusion of separatedness, which does not feel good, which is the one that causes so much strife and suffering and struggle. Because it's like the experience or illusion that you're taken out, that you're extracted from the whole. And it doesn't even matter what whole it is or what isness it is. If there is that, like tearing, or there's that distance or gap, it's that which causes suffering. So going back to the example that I gave a while ago, unworthiness only feels bad if we're trying to get away from it. If we're trying to fix it, resolve it, try to wrestle with it, say that this is wrong, and trying to escape it or run away from it, basically try to go from here to there, or the sense that this is a mistake and I shouldn't be here and I should go over there. And I have to grasp, I have to start working hard and struggle and try to grasp at over there, right? But that's the thing, that sense of grasping, that sense of trying to reach, trying to get there, trying to arrive at there, because there is that which is whole, is that which is correct, is that which is complete, is that which will make me happy, is that which will finally make me fulfilled. That sense of grasping, that separation, that distance, this gap, and therefore the reaching for, the trying to arrive at, is the one that causes suffering. Because again, if you sink in, the idea of unworthiness, right? If you go to its base, which is isness, yesness, arrivedness, right? Arrivedness at that concept. If you settle, then you find that you're there. Then you'll find that whatever you're trying to get at or arrive at or trying to escape to, it's actually here. It's not over there, but here, the base. And so that's why I always point to the body, the avatar, because it's the shortcut already, you can say. It's the representation already. It's the symbol or, again, representation of wholeness, isness, integratedness. So notice that our body is whole, it's all attached together. It's all put together. Compared to the mind, right? The ego mind that is scattered, that is confused, that can be all over the place. It can be so disintegrated, so fragmented, especially when we have gone through trauma. The mind can be so out of it, so fragmented. And so that's the thing. The body is the symbolism already, the representation, the tool, you can say, the tool for wholeness, for isness. Notice that if you go into the base of a, let's say, negative quality, a not nice quality, and you sink back into the base, you'll actually notice that you are mostly kind of down here, you know? So it's the same thing. So again, with the example a while ago of unworthiness. Now imagine sinking into its base, which is the isness, the yesness, the fullness of unworthiness. Like imagine putting yourself squarely in that idea, putting your 2 feet in unworthiness and be fully that. Be unapologetic. Have no problem with it. I have no issue with it. Have no issue with the idea of unworthiness and be fully that. It's like, yeah, it's unworthy. Deal with it. You respect its full isness. You respect its expression, its full isness of it. And you have no problem with it. You have no beef with it. You're not trying to escape it or fight it or struggle it or invalidate it. You're in respect of its full expression. Then you find yourself in the same place as worthiness. You see, it's the trick of it. Like imagine worthiness putting on the mask of not worthy. And so behind the mask of unworthiness is the same worthiness. It's the same thing. Again, the base of all, the fundamental reality of all is isness, yesness, wholeness. And again, if you recognize this, if you sink beneath the mask into the ground level, the fundamental level, you'll find that you are more in the body. Because again, the body is the tool, the representation of Is's wholeness in this realm. It's kind of like a sensing mechanism, which is the one that is in recognition, is that which is, you can say, aligned with isness, wholeness, presence, right? And so the avatar, the body is already again our shortcut. Instead of spending so much time going into every negative quality and sinking into its fundamental reality, its essential base, which of course you can do as an exercise. But that's the thing, you'll find that it's the body. You'll find that you be quote unquote sunk into the body. You see, it's already here. It's already done for you, so to speak. It's already, again, the shortcut. That's why you just rely on it, confide in it. It's your trusted confidant, you could say. It's the one that's doing it, right? Whatever ideal, self that you have or that you imagine yourself to be, the body is already that. Like, for example, when faced with the situation, your ideal self or the ideal self that you imagine is that, oh, someone who remains to still have trust in the world, to still have its head on its shoulders, who's not gonna go wild and impulsive and whatever. So let's say that's your imagination when presented with the, let's say, negative or unpreferred situation. And that idea or imagination of an ideal self, that's the body already. It's like a role model. You tune into it. You let it show you. You let it demonstrate to you. That's why you're here at the back seats in a place of unknown. You want to know. You're a student, you're a disciple, you're a follower, you're a quote unquote, you're a fan of it. Just as how, let's say, when we admire people who exhibit or demonstrate behavior or attitude that we can say is very mature or very, admirable, even when faced with a certain unpreferred situation. And we become, let's say, a fan of that person because of how they conducted themselves, right? How they behaved, how they, again, demonstrated their behavior, right? And so that's the thing. Recognize that here. Recognize that in your avatar. As I've mentioned in my previous video, have a high regard to it, Let it show you. instead of imposing on it and trying to colonize it, trying to control it, and being the ego doer, and just exhausting yourself and burning yourself out, and at the same time being miserable because you're in that state of trying to get, trying to reach, trying to arrive at, trying to resolve, and being in a place of lack, being in a place of not enough, not whole, not valid, and all that, etc. And so that's the thing, the humbling, right? The humility of allowing that which is quote unquote ideal, that which contains wholeness, goodness, to be at the forefront and just be shown, just be shown, just be a kind of quote unquote admirer, being at the audience seat, you can say. This humility, this getting out of the way and stepping out of the spotlight for the ego doer who wants to be the center of attention, who wants to be again the doer, the authority, the one at the forefront, is kind of fearful, is kind of undesired, because in its mind, that'll be my death, that'll be my annihilation, that'll be a blow, a huge blow to my ego, which is annihilation, death. But it's not so much an annihilation. It's just a repositioning. It's just it returning the proper position because it has taken on the authority, right? So it's basically just giving back the rightful authority to the rightful owner, you can say. And giving that back is actually beneficial. You see, it's actually good. It's actually beneficial. Because the ego thinks in terms of black and white. It thinks that when authority is no longer in its hands, then I'll be diminished. That's this benefit to me. When control is no longer in my hands, then I'll be diminished. I'll be in danger. I'll be vulnerable. I'll be whatever, right? Its idea of benefit is always at the expense. It's always, it should be mine and you should be depleted. For me to feel good, the external or whoever should be the one in this benefit, should be the one expended or exploited. It operates that way. It operates in that black and white perception. So you can notice this in really narcissistic or toxic people. In order for them to feel good, they have to kind of put down other people or exploit other people or expand other people or diminish other people, right? In order for them to feel power, well, then it has to be power over other people. It has to be at the expense of the world. You see, it's always that way. That's why it's toxic, it's dysfunctional. It doesn't create a good world. It creates this world that we live in. It creates all kinds of drama, hierarchy, all the isms, racism, sexism, etc. It creates a miserable world, and it becomes a world of endless competition, endless comparison, endless measuring yourself relative to others, a measuring of worth via some kind of standard or benchmark that's made up by some company, right? Because companies are the ones that actually get something out of this. It's like you only be whatever worthy or valid or something if you buy our product. Or you only feel good about yourself if you buy our what program, our product, our whatever. If you join our club and you have to pay $100 per month for it. It's exploitable, right? This distance making of the ego mind, it's exploitable by the world. That is why when you wake up from the matrix, you can say, you kind of become useless for the present structure because they can no longer exploit this. They can no longer use fear mongering tactics or manipulating tactics or devaluing tactics on you, right? But anyway, what I'm trying to convey is that the body, the avatar being the authority, you can say, is beneficial because the ego mind, again, what it contains is notness, right? Its position is notness. That is its holding, you can say. And so, since notness is its natural role, natural holding, you can say, then it being in notness, being this background, being a ghostly background, is apt, is its quote unquote proper position. And the vessel, the avatar, being in substance, being the one in isness, yesness, wholeness, being given the stage, the forefront, having it take the lead, letting it have the lead, is that which is, again, also the proper position. I always just see it in this mechanical perspective, My makeup is probably built for that. Other people use different words or have a different way of pointing at it. But I find that just saying it in this mechanical way is more efficient, maybe. I don't know. But that's the thing, it's all a matter of a kind of alignment. It's like red is to red, blue is to blue, apple is to apple, orange is to orange. So if the ego position is notness, then it is notness. Then it's not the foreground. Then it's not the leader. It's not the authority. It's the student, is that which gives way because it's a notness. It's like imagine a hole or a canal, and the canal gives way, gives way for that which is substantial, which is the fleshed out, which is the avatar. And it's like getting behind it, getting behind it in support of it, in being a fan of it, or again, letting it show you, letting it demonstrate to you, or confiding in it, recognizing it to be the guru, you know? So as I mentioned in my previous video, I live in a condo building and there are cats here. There are community cats here. And one time I was feeding one of the cats, and a guy sitting there said, "Oh, you also feed the cats?" And of course I said, "Yeah, sometimes." And we had a conversation. Now the guy turned out to be working at the government. And he's just very honest. He's just very truthful about the corruption that's happening, which is not surprising. Our country is really very deep in corruption. Corruption runs this country basically from the lowest agency, you can say, to the highest organization, to the highest position. It's all run by corruption. And so he's very kind of nonchalant about it. He talked about how the under the table money is already in their drawers. And he said that what can he do? Reject it? If he rejects it, he'll be a standout. He'll be like a sore thumb and he'll be targeted. Oh, you're not following the system. You're not a obedient sheep here. Oh, we're going to target you. And he said that they can even have you get killed. And I don't doubt the truth of it because of the state of our country. It's most probably true, right? They operate in a mafia way. It's an organized crime, basically. However, at the same time, it's also kind of an excuse, you know? Because if you really don't want to participate in such corrupt system, like as a person, if you really don't want to be part of that, then you'll not work there. Then you'll resign and find a different job or find a different work or business, right? But of course, receiving extra funds, the shady, underhanded, under the table money is beneficial. It's beneficial to them. That's why they remain. That's why the system is still being fed because people allow themselves to be bought. People are throwing away values for extra funds, extra money. Like imagine if everyone working in the government all have integrity and they cannot bring themselves to participate in such corrupt system, then no one will work in the government, right? Then this system will not be fed. Then it has no choice but to change or collapse. But since people are still feeding it, participating in it, then it continues to live on, right? The bloodstream is still there. But anyway, so that is how he is. Oh, I forgot to mention that he also feeds the cats. Basically, he's kind of the one that primarily feeds and cares for the cats. He's part of the people who had the cats vaccinated. So he's very good to the cats. That's the thing. But anyway, after that conversation, and I went back to my unit, and it made me think, it made me reflect. This is the kind of person he is. He's part of the participants of the corrupt system. He receives or accepts under the table money. And of course, that is not personally me. That's not my values. That's not within my integrity. And so next time we meet, will I talk to him again? Will I interact with him again? Or shall I just completely shun him, completely label him a bad person and just shun him? And so I tune into the body. I confide, I get the second opinion of the whole body. And the answer to the question, will I still interact with him? The answer is yes. Yes. If we encounter the next time, exchange greetings, exchange pleasantries, and ask, how are you? How you doing? Hi, hello. Sure. Yeah, of course. It's just being a normal, decent person. But will I go into relationship with him if ever? No. Will I make business with him if ever? Also no. So the body does not go into reactive black and white. Like he's a bad person. Don't talk to him ever again. Don't interact with him again. Just shun him and let him burn in hell or whatsoever. Right? It has a more holistic approach. It doesn't go into like knee jerk reactivity. It's more nuanced, it's more holistic. It retains humanity, it retains treating the other as a human being. And at the same time, since his ways is not aligned with your ways, with your values, then there is a boundary, right? There's an extent to the relationship, you can say. So it's kind of like that, the body is much more wise. It's like the leader. A great leader, they're much more wise. They're not like a toddler that's immature and reactive. and just wants to fight and protest and whatever, right? It's more nuanced. Again, it's more wise. Now, I want to mention one last point. The body is the arrival point. Again, it's the representation of the ideal. It's that which has already, quote unquote, arrived. The ego mind is that which is trying to get there, trying to arrive at there. The opposite of that, arrivedness, settledness, already here, already present, already full, whole, complete, etc. That's what the avatar contains. That's the representation of the avatar. And so since the avatar is that, then it's a gift, you can say. As I've mentioned previously, like imagine your ideal self. Whatever it is, whatever good qualities that you have assigned to it, and however you see it here, recognize it in the avatar. Since that is the representative or representation of the avatar, then it's a gift, right? Because it's the one that contains all the good stuff. You could say your ideal self. So it's actually your true self, you can say. Because our true self is the one that contains all the true nature qualities. And so what occurred to me is that having this at the forefront, having this be the authority, the leader, that which interacts, that which responds, that which, quote unquote, handles things and arisings at the same time, internal and external stuff, is a gift to this world, right? It's like the world deserves no less than the whole, than your truth, that which is connected to reality. And what greater gift that you can give here than this, right? Than your full truth, your full expression, or the full expression of this avatar. An image that comes to mind is a droplet that's hanging on a leaf. And when the leaf tilts down, the droplet slides off of it and returns to the earth. It's let go of. It's given. It's set free. It's like gifting it, it's like gifting it to the world. We allow this to have its life, to be, to unwithhold it from the world. It's even like an act of service. It's like you want to keep it open. You want to be in releasing of it so that it can be recognized, so that it can be again known. As I mentioned previously, it's the arrival point. And so things that are in alignment with it can recognize it, can arrive at it because you allow it to be. It's like a venue that's opened or a venue that's finally unwithheld so that, again, the things that are in resonance with it or in alignment with it can come to it or can know it or can arrive at it. It's kind of like withholding a seed in your hands. You're not letting it grow if you just keep it there. It's only when you release the seed into the ground, then that's how it will grow into its fullness. And that's the thing. In so doing, you'll know. You'll know how the seed will look like. You'll know how the seed will look like as a plant. Keeping it in your hand, you'll not know. It won't have the opportunity to show you, to demonstrate to you its true expression.